Let's do it.
Okay, we are live and recording. Hello, everybody. My name is Pratibha Day. I am your host and founder of chaitogether. We use courage, hope, and imagination on this platform to showcase the stories we do. And with that in mind, let's be empathetic and really kind and caring to the story that Miss Heather is going to share with us today. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah. So, and thank you for purchasing one of our Chai Together mugs, one journey at a
Yeah,
time. And they are big.
they are, and it's so
Tea.
perfect for tea, for coffee. Like, I love it. I
I
love it. It was a wonderful add to my collection.
yesterday I ate strawberries out of it. Like I needed to put something to put it in, right? So, so prior to this, so Heather and I had already started speaking on Facebook Live, and so we're going to continue our conversation here. And thank you for your patience once again. So I am going to tell you more about Heather. So Heather Urness is a transformational coach for women who are feeling stuck and uninspired in life and who are ready to heal their limiting beliefs and childhood wounds. Now, this aspect that Heather does, I feel like is really important and possibly has to do with inner child work and inner work. So that, now that the women can step into the life of their dreams. And Heather is a certified meditation teacher, Reiki master, and a woman's empowerment coach. So, yeah. So how long did it take for you to do all of that? Right?
That's a great question. Yeah, it's been a few years. Yeah, honestly, it's been a few years, and I feel like I am kind of a lifelong learner, and I love to just add new tools to the toolbox. And so
Yeah.
I'm actually currently in a master coach program as well for the next 6 months, where we're doing a bit of a deep dive into like somatics and trauma and
Mm,
inner child and yeah, it's so I'm really, really excited about that. And I just love what I'm learning, and I just want to be able to work with people at an even deeper level. So yeah, this has been a couple years for me now, probably about 4 years in the making for
wow.
just my training and my own journey, my own healing journey and process. So come a long way, and there's still more good to come.
Right? It's never ending. Like as long as we live, there's always something more to learn about ourselves that someone can teach us or we can find out, from our own awareness. So I want to know what this program is to learn about, trauma and different things. What is it?
Yeah, so the program that I'm in, it's called Elementum, and it's run by Christine Hassler, Stefano Sifandos, Alexi Panos, and Preston Smiles.
Wow.
And
All
yeah,
these names.
it's a really, really great group,
Mm.
and I'm very, very honored to be sort of their first graduating class of coaches. So
Wow.
it's quite an intense program. Yeah. And right now, we're really getting sort of a grounded understanding of like developmental trauma and what is
Mm-hmm.
trauma in the body, and how we can work with clients, and obviously we would refer people out to trained specialists as needed as well. But for us to be able to really identify when a client has a history of trauma and how it might be impacting their day-to-day life, and what
Right.
we can do in terms of just giving them some tools to regulate as they're working through it. So yeah, I love it. And having experienced some trauma in my life as well, it's just very eye-opening to be able to really understand the impact that it
Mm-hmm.
has, and I can kind of really relate that to my own experiences. And yeah, it kind of comes full circle.
I like that. Because I want to ask you more about that because today I changed my major to social work for master's and I'm thinking child and family or trauma. So my goal is to get my PhD. However, it's to build CHAI together and to still get the fullest of education that I can. However, I would definitely invest in myself as I always do to learn. I've learned through a friend, she did the Eric Thomas assessment on me and I learned about you know, some trauma that can be blocking me from higher success and things of that nature. So that's a great program. for you to take to help clients, such as, let's say for me, for example, and then you'd help me, with what that trauma is and those paradigms. So that's really important to do that inner work. So so you're taking this for yourself first, or are you just taking it to teach others?
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
question. So the program that I'm taking, this is actually to learn how to work with others. So as part of
Yeah.
like your coaching practice, like
Yeah.
getting tools in your toolkit. Now prior to that, I did about a 6-month intensive with one of the
Wow.
master coaches in that program to work through my own stuff. And, I've been doing inner work for a few years now, but I really wanted to work with somebody that was trained in trauma and also somatic healing. And so,
Yes.
that's what I spent about 6 months doing on a one-on-one intensive basis prior to getting into this program. Cause I'm like, I really need to be able to experience this for myself and work through my own stuff
Mhm.
before I try to bring any type of tools to, working with my own clients. So I'm a firm believer
Yes.
in like, do your work first, because then firsthand like what this feels like. And it's really hard to walk people through things when you haven't, necessarily walked that path
Mm.
yourself.
Yes, that is so true. And so these people that you train from, are any of them academically certified for trauma, or like through certifications or experience?
Mhm. Yeah, they are. And off the top of my head, I don't recall
Mm.
exactly which certifications they have, but
Yeah.
yeah, they done, between the group of them, just a number of academic
Yeah.
as well as like somatic based like intensive programs as well. So
Wow.
yeah, so
So what
it's
is,
mhm.
yeah, I know I'm digging like more into this, but like what is somatic, like the somatic aspect? Like what does that consist of?
Mhm. Yeah, so it's really engaging with the body, and that was kind of for me one area that I had kind of shied away from in terms of like my inner work because
I
I was like,
remember.
yeah, I'm like, well, I can journal and I can, I can cry on the phone with my coach and I can,
Mm.
share, the deepest, darkest thoughts and emotions that I'm experiencing. But
Mm.
for me, particularly, especially because of the head trauma that I suffered when I was 19 years old, like disconnecting and dissociating from my body was kind of a common thing for me. And so I've
Wow.
really been up in my head a lot. And so, in working with my coach and some of the things that I did to work through some of my own trauma was breath work, TRE, so like trauma release exercises that are recommended for like veterans and folks with PTSD, and really engaging the body in that release.
Wow.
From a somatics perspective, like we've also done a lot of things like anger release, where you're like letting yourself have that like primal scream and like beating up your
Mm.
pillow. I'm angry because, and like
Wow.
letting yourself just like move energy through your body and trust your body. So if you need to shake, okay, you shake. Okay, what do I need now? Like I need to rock myself. I need to cradle myself. It's really about
Mm.
like trusting your body as you're moving the energy. And it's great to obviously have a practitioner there that is trained in that, because especially when you're new to it, you might be like, well, I don't know, am I doing this right? I'm kind of scared. What if something big comes up? And
Yeah.
so it really, for me, having that person to go through it with me while I was in my process was really, really helpful, because I don't know that I'd be able to trust and follow that wave on my own, at least not initially.
Hmm.
That was really, really powerful for me, and just connecting to my body and then listening and trusting. So yeah.
That's the first time I heard of the pillow exercise. I'm angry because, but it's our creativity. Like there's so much we can do. Like there's so many exercises you can just create on your own too.
Mhm.
Wrong mug. It's not
I
even a
know.
mug.
I thought about that. I was like, oh no, I have my Starbucks cup. Dang it. I screwed up.
I'm so disappointed, but it's okay. I guess I forgive you. I need to do inner work about this now. Oh, I don't, this is the, I thought to myself, she's gonna have the chai together mug. Like we go on at 3.
I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's in the dishwasher right now because I like I love it for like drinking my coffee and I use it like every week. And so usually it
Yeah.
ends up
Oh,
dirty and needing to be washed because I use it so often.
how dare you? It's so
You're a
funny.
traitor.
So for the audience watching, Heather and I connected on one thing, which was body dysmorphia, when you made a post, Heather, and that's when I
Yeah.
reached out to you about that. So tell us more about that. Like, when did that start for you?
Yeah. So I think the very first memory that I really
Mm,
had of that was getting bullied in elementary school. So
yeah.
and I distinctly like remember it so much. And actually I was actually bullied in starting in school actually. So but I don't think it was body related. It was more like getting beat up and pushed down the slide, stuffed in a cubby, and just like all sorts of like mean little kid stuff. But when I was in elementary school, I remember that's when the name calling started, where it was like Heather the Heifer, and
Wow.
I'll never forget that because that was the nickname that was like coined and used to like basically that's what they called me. And so and I remember just like from that point on just feeling like there's something wrong with my body. Like people
Mm,
are pointing it out that there's something different or bad about my body. And I remember just being like, cover it up, like hide, cover it up, cover it up. And um, going into like young adulthood, I remember I went through a period of time in high school where I was like, going to try to like starve and I'm going to try to like work out excessively and I'm going to try to like change my body to become this thing that I think I need to be. But I was never ever satisfied, no matter how like much weight I lost or how I tried to tweak or change my body. It just wasn't working. And I was so
mm,
unhappy for so many years. And I even attracted, this is kind of crazy too, partners. I remember in my 20s where I dated a boyfriend and I remember telling him like, oh, right now I weigh like, I'm at 140 and I'd like to, I'm going to lose a couple pounds. And he's like, you should really probably be about 120. And like at that time, I remember I was already like running on the treadmill for like 2 hours a day, like eating carrots, like trying to like make myself as small as possible. And I was just like, at some point, I was like, I just can't do this anymore. Like I'm so miserable and unhappy. And it was just, yeah, it was really, really rough. And I think for me, just really reclaiming my relationship with my body for me at whatever size I end up, like it
right?
was just really powerful. And I've done a few things to like work with myself from a body image perspective that's really been empowering. But yeah, it was a long road. It really was a long road. And so I feel for so many people out there, especially in today's world with social media and all the pressures and stuff, like I think it's just becoming more and more common that people are really struggling with this.
I'm so glad we don't anymore. I don't know. Do you still?
I would here and there, I think things
Yeah.
come up, but I've also gotten a lot better at like recognizing when my mind starts to go down that road and kind of just,
Mhm.
being able to use like the things that I know now to just like reel the thoughts in and come back to center. But yeah, it's like a night and day
Right.
difference from where I was before.
Same here. And thanks for being truthful about that because I mean, you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. It's even Oprah, she's still triggered by traumas. It's like, it's not ever going to, I don't want to say it's not, it just doesn't go away, as in, like, you can move on from that, but it's like, as human beings, like, things are still in our subconscious, and it takes years and years of training. Even Bob Proctor, like, he's not perfect, and he's, in self-development, and no one is, like, period. It's like, if you were like, you're like perfect in everything, like, that's boring. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not human. Like, if you are, you're
Yeah,
lying, like, you're faking it, period. And we don't
you are.
like that around
Mm.
us. So
Yeah.
That's really interesting because you were doing all the wrong things, but you thought you were doing the right things when you were eating carrots on a treadmill for 2 hours. That doesn't really do anything. Like, you
No, it
admit.
makes you so miserable. Like,
And, my body now, I've come to accept it as like this is, I'm curvy, like I'm voluptuous, like this is, my body in my natural state. Like it's not that I eat like horrible or anything. It's like this is how I developed into. For you, like that is your body. Like there's some women who are thicker than other women. It's like, it takes a lot of work. I used to be a CrossFitter and that's when I got really small, right? But I lost my breasts and my butt. And it's like it wasn't my
mm,
natural body like state. It's like I was molding myself into another physique, but it doesn't stay naturally that way. It went away, right? Like I'm back to myself. Like if I don't work at it every day. And so this is where it's like we're naturally ourselves. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like, unless you were to do that every day, like that takes a lot of work. If you want to do it, you can, but it's not who you are, like per se, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that. And I think, it's also about like listening to your body because I was also in that same camp of doing CrossFit pretty
Yeah.
aggressively for a period of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I mean I liked it. I enjoyed it, but what I noticed was like I was pushing myself more and more and more. And I remember there'd be days like even prior to like my cycle where I would feel so tired and like my body just wanted like to rest or to do yoga or something very
Yeah.
nourishing. And I remember there was a part of me that was like, no, quit being weak, get back in the
Mm-hmm.
gym, you need to push through. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's not a way to be with yourself. It's like if you
Yeah.
if you want to do CrossFit, great, but don't push your body to extremes. Do it a couple days a week or
Yeah.
something. But like, I
Yeah.
feel so much better now, like listening to my body and being like, you know what? Sometimes I do want to do a tough, workout where there's weights and there's, this and that. But like some days I want to do yoga or I want to do Pilates or I want to dance, and so,
Okay.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
listening to your body and following like what feels good. Like it doesn't have to be this pressured thing anymore,
Mhm.
So, oh, yes.
I really agree with that. I was very obsessed. There were days where I would go to hot yoga in the morning, then go to CrossFit in the evening. Like I was a beast. I was very
Wow.
petite. I weighed about 126 pounds, if not less, and I pushed 182 on sled and I power lifted 145. So I was
Yeah.
extra small size, but guess what? The body dysmorphia, right? When I looked in the mirror, I still didn't see myself like how small I had gotten. Everyone
Mm.
was telling me, but my mind was so used to me being big that I was literally wearing extra small, but I still wasn't able to realize like what's going on. Like I collapsed time so fast. But
Mhm.
I get into the childhood aspect that you work with on women, transforming their limiting beliefs on that. So did you start doing that because of the inner child, work, like that inspired you, that's the root of it?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. I think like for me, what really inspired me to incorporate some of that inner child into the work that I do is like my own healing that's happened from working with my own inner child and, just really seeing some of the things that like she went through, like little me went through and
Right.
feeling so alone and it at times like unprotected and like she really just wished like that she had somebody there to just be like to care for her and to be like
That's
don't talk
right.
to my baby that way and don't and
Mhm.
um and I had great loving parents, like I came from a really wonderful family, but there were just some things that happened I think to me as a kid that really reinforced some beliefs of like inferiority, self-doubt, lack of confidence, like the body image issues. And, self-esteem was also something I struggled with my whole life.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, I remember too, like talking to some people where I would share about that and they'd be like, but you're so pretty. And I'd be like, Inside, I don't feel that way. I would be like,
Uh-huh.
inside, I feel worthless. Inside, I feel less than everyone
That's
else,
right.
regardless of what I look like. And so it can be really, I think sometimes too surprising for people to see
Mm-hmm.
who struggles with, mental illness or some of these, worthiness issues and stuff like that, because they're like, well, but like you look a certain way, or I would love to be you, or you know what I mean? And it really kind of bypasses, what's going on within, like inside that person. And so yeah, so from an inner child aspect, I've really worked with her to um, help. I know it sounds funny, like her, it's like it's me, but
Right?
it feels like her.
Mm.
Um, to yeah, to just let her know that like I'm here, I got you, and we're gonna do this life together. And I'm sorry for all the pain that you went through. And I'm here to care for you now. So it's really been incredibly healing to walk that path.
Yeah. It's interesting because that's not in the now. A lot of the pain that I also suffer through, it's like it's a blur. There's so much that it's just my body, we don't stay in that moment because then it would be our bodies wouldn't be able to handle that pain right now. It'd be too much, in shock, the nervous system. So did you ever do that the semi hypnotherapy exercise where, you do the butterfly and you go back to you close your eyes, you go back to one of the times, for when you were a kid and the time that didn't work out how it was supposed to, and you go and hug, your inner self. Did you ever do that?
I haven't, but that sounds really beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And so so getting into Reiki, so
Mhm.
prior to this call, we were speaking about, your experience with Reiki, and you stated you got into it because you were at a gym, right? Is that right? Or
Um,
you saw a sign, right?
It was like yeah, it was at a yoga studio that I
Yeah.
was going to, and they were offering it, and I just kind of happened to sign up, unsure of what I was kind of getting myself into. But yeah, it was kind of a curious exploratory stage of my life, and I'm glad I followed the nudge. So
Mm. And I was also asking you why Reiki and why not hypnotherapy or, clinical or something.
mhm. Yeah, I think for me, I've really experienced just a lot of beautiful healing. I think
Mhm.
from one seeing, my own Reiki healers. So like when I've kind of been experiencing things in my life, I've gone to my teacher and just said like, I need you. But um, and there's just something really really kind of subtly beautiful about working with like the Reiki energy. And I mean,
Mhm.
I also enjoy practicing qigong. It's not something that I'm super kind of out there with, but just something about the subtlety of feeling the energy of being able to move energy. And um just in some of my own practice and like some of the notes and journaling and things that I've seen, it's like I really experience it for myself in a very kind of like deep and almost profound way where, sometimes I will feel sensations, or I'll see colors, or I'll see images. And so for me, it's kind of a very deep inward process, and also deeply healing in a way that sometimes it's kind of hard to describe, but it
Mhm.
really gets me to slow down and just tap into sort of like that inner, I don't know, that inner peace, or that inner wisdom. So I know it's probably not a very like great answer, but
No, it
yeah, I have
is. So please restate what this method is. It's a Japanese method, right?
Yes, yes. So Reiki, yes, does come from a Japanese lineage,
Hmm.
and it's just a very, very subtle, very beautiful form of energy healing,
Hmm.
where I'm not giving of my energy, and I'm not taking energy from the client, but it's really just opening, accessing the channel of loving, light energy. And so it's not harmful. It's not, the premise of it is do no harm.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's just a very, very subtle, very calming energy. And I know it's, I'm hearing about it being used more and more with patients like in hospitals and in
Yeah.
recovery. And I think that's really wonderful that some of the Western world is also starting to see that there really is some.
Yeah, I have a friend right now who's using it, for COVID times, whoever calls her up for India. So she's doing the
Mhm.
prana energy. But I was asking about the second method that you mentioned that you don't really speak on.
Okay, yeah, qigong. So that's actually a
Qigong,
Chinese. Yeah, that's.
Chinese. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mhm.
Okay, Chinese. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and it's just kind of something that I dabble in.
Mhm.
So there's qigong classes at the local yoga studio, and this is
Wow.
going to sound kind of funny, but I actually also have an on-demand thing on my TV with some really great one. There's Tai Chi and also qigong on
Mm.
there, and so I really actually love it too when I notice myself in kind of an activated state,
Mhm.
or kind of getting some of that hyper arousal. Like I will just be like, okay, I'm not going to sit and meditate, because sometimes I think a lot of people too in that hyper aroused state, it's really hard to go from that to sit and close your eyes and be in meditation. So, with some of the people that I work with, I'm like, okay, if it's hard to go from like hyper aroused to meditation, like let's meet people kind of in the middle here. And that's what I really feel like qigong has to offer, because what you're doing is you're still moving the body, but you're really slowing it down and you're focusing on each subtle and slow movement. There's also a lot of touch and connection to the body. So, you might be tapping your arm and up and down, you know and following your breathing and breathing alongside the movement. So it's really something that I enjoy. I'm not a teacher of it, or anything like that, but I know there are great teachers out there for it. So I definitely recommend it for those that are interested and might want to explore.
Wow. There's so much great stuff in the world to be known. I'm so glad that, I got to experience Reiki too. And it's so interesting, all the facets of life, like honestly. And, you sharing all about, your childhood. So I want to go back to that. During that time, you said you had your loving parents. So when you were going through this, is that something you kept secret, very reserved to yourself, that you were suffering with? Like, when did you end up sharing with your family that you were going through that?
Mm. Yeah, that's a really good question actually, because I know when I was little, I did share some things with my mom, and I think like bless her heart, I think her thing with me for soothing was food. And
Mm.
and nothing, everyone's doing the best that they can, and but I
Right.
just remember, I think our thing was like, okay, get my butt kicked at daycare. I'm crying. I'm upset. Mom takes me to the store. We get Reese's peanut butter cups and I stuff my face with them until I feel better. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
another big thing that I learned was like using food to soothe emotions. And so that was
Mm.
also something that I've struggled with even into adulthood, of just like, oh my God, like I'm super, super upset. I need chocolate, or I need
Mm.
this, or I need that. And using that as almost like a coping strategy, or trying to distract myself with my phone or with Netflix, anything
Yeah.
to avoid feeling the feelings,
Yeah.
and it's so easy to do nowadays, rather than to really sit with it and say, okay, like what do I need right now, and just being with the emotions. So yeah, so as a child, I think there definitely was some sharing of things that were going on. I think as I got into my middle school and high school years, I definitely went inward a lot. So I don't think my parents really knew like the extent to what was going on for me in terms of like my body. I'm sure they could see that I was, changing my eating and things like that. But yeah, I don't think that I
Right.
was very vocal. I think I definitely started to kind of hide some of that more, and just really isolate too.
Yeah. Also with parents, you know, it's very, from my experience, people I know, it's like very few people have great parents or the best or loving, support, like all those great adjectives. It's very few people actually. Like that's why there's so many therapists and things needed.
Yeah.
For the ones who do, even with that, it's never perfect for them either. But you know, like you said, our parents only do what they know. And as a young child, my mom used to feed me, Oreos and milk for breakfast. Like she didn't know any better. We
Mhm.
this country, like she didn't know, and my weight skyrocketed, like just from school lunches and hormones, and like this country, I was eating, in India, we eat very fresh, healthy food. Coming to this country, I blew up like a balloon. I was
Mm.
the biggest girl in my class, but most people
Mhm.
possibly wouldn't know that until I share it. But I feel like that's a whole nother story to get into regarding your parents because it's so like, how's your relationship with your parents now?
It's good. Yeah, my relationship with them is really good. And I think some of it comes from also like me doing my inner work around that. And what I mean by that is like really just accepting, that like my parents did the best that they could. And and not to say that like I didn't turn out I came out with so many problems or something like that. Like not saying that at all. But I do think that one thing that I noticed also is like, especially as people start to do their own healing and their own inner work, like there's almost this desire to like bring your parents along on that path.
Mm,
Like,
mm-hmm.
oh, like
Yes,
as I heal, I want to heal them too,
right.
and and I think the biggest learning for me just with family in general, because I noticed it with like cousins and siblings and like aunts and uncles of like, oh my gosh, I've done all this healing. I want everyone in my family to heal.
Mm,
And just knowing that it's like, what, people are on their own journey. And it's like you can share about what you've been through and you can share about like how great it's been to heal, but like you can't do that for them, or you can't drag them along a healing path that maybe is not for them or that they don't want to be on. And so I think for me, like acceptance of like where people in my family are at, and just knowing that like I can love them in the way that is right for right now, I think is really where I'm at. But in terms of like hanging out, like we have, backyard barbecues. I'm going to see my family this weekend for my
aw.
dad's birthday and it's Mother's Day. And so,
Woo, yeah.
yay. So yeah, so I love my family to pieces, and I'm still close with everybody. And yeah.
I like that. So I want to ask you, you work with women, right? Only women?
Um, well, I do have,
Mm,
I primarily work with women. I do have a
mm,
couple male clients that just kind of came to me. We started a
yeah.
dialogue and working together. But yeah, my primary specialty, yes, is working with women.
Mm. Is that because of the things you experience and you want to rise up other women? Why is that?
Yeah, I think because I feel more able to relate to women's issues,
Yes.
and I think that, obviously we've all been through different experiences.
Mhm.
And I think there's also, some areas that like I still need to work on in terms of understanding even just cultural and racial differences too,
Yeah.
because I won't sit here and pretend that I know
Yeah.
what it's like to be a woman of color and
Yeah.
especially in America. And so, there are certain things that I know I have limitations on because of my own privilege and upbringing. And so, I try to be very, sensitive to that, and two, try to continue learning, so that I can sort of expand my own sort of viewpoint, in the world. But I think I really feel a very deep and heart-centered connection to women because when I was in 5th grade, I remember when I first learned about like the women's rights movement in America and women getting the right to vote, just little 5th grade me reading that got so fired up and like so excited and so passionate. And I was like, I want to help women, like I was like, yeah, I want to
Wow.
be a champion, and there's just something so cute about that like, has kind of stuck with me. And it's just funny how
Yes.
you get these little taps, even sometimes from a young age. And I'm really glad that that I found my way back to that, and that I do get to serve women because it fulfills my heart in a way that it's hard to describe, but I love it.
Wow. Yeah, I can agree with that, especially since when I went through my abortion and what my body went through as a woman, like men do not know what a woman's body goes through during those times. I don't know if you've ever been pregnant, but the experience I had with the surgery and just being, I was left hanging, while I was pregnant, and to be in that situation and be malnourished and have panic attacks and like all the things I was experiencing as a woman, it makes me value myself more, and I would never settle for less again, whether it be friendship, romantic, or anything. So that's just my thing. I do feel like I lean towards more women, and even as a teacher, right, academically, my background towards girls. And someone brought this to my attention recently because I had a niece I was really close to, and because of the things I experienced, since being a child, a little girl, I feel
Mhm.
that's why I'm more protective of girls,
Mhm.
make sure they're okay, because I don't want them to go through what I went through. But boys too, but more so girls. And it's just so inspiring, the work that we both do. So thank you for being on today, and share with everyone where they can find you and, your social medias.
Absolutely. And I just want to like acknowledge you for that and for your courage of just what you shared and just how
Yeah.
like open and vulnerable and just genuine. Like just your energy is so authentic and so real. So thank you. Thank you for being you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It's interesting because I was beat on, like physically abused, and
Mm.
like hated, like family members for being like this. You know what I mean? Like literally because they envy like my smile, like how happy I am because they're miserable themselves. So they would take their anger out on me. You know what I mean? And it's so
Yeah.
interesting because, like Mahatma Gandhi or like a Oprah, or like I am like Oprah. It's like anyone who has that kind of peaceful spirit, it's like I was being tested because I didn't fight back like physically, like I didn't hit anyone, so it's like people want to hurt me, but I'm not going to become like you. So it's like they want to hate you more for that. Like, why aren't you reacting? So
Mm.
patient. And it's like, I'm not going to respond to that. Like, that disgusting comments and things. It's just interesting because no matter what happened to me, I've always been this way. And it's like, no one could take away my peace. Like, this is, your spirit and your soul. It's inside of you, no matter what happened with Oprah or with you, right? This bubbly, that bubbly personality you have, it's like, no matter even if you were bullied, like you still came out strong on the other side. Like you didn't commit suicide, and like I didn't either. It's like, we're still able to have our personalities. And when people see our smiles and pictures, like they would never know, oh, what someone's story is until they hear us. Especially
Yeah.
like when I posted my story, it's like no one would ever imagine, like most things. And it's not right. We always say don't compare stories, but it's like to someone, it's like they may have been through just one traumatic thing. I have a line of like 11, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's just some people get more than other people, right, to deal with in life. And it's like both have to come out on the other side. And it's like, it's really your journey. Maybe you don't have to go through, those 11 things to do what you're doing. Like, but I really feel like I went through those things. so I can relate to everybody on Chai Together, because I've been through almost like everything that people come on and talk about. And I truly feel that this is what, was supposed to come of it. So I can do something like this. Yeah.
That's incredible. I actually had chills while you were talking, and I was just like, "Oh my God, like there's so much truth that's coming out right now, and it's powerful work that you're doing." So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to really, really honor and acknowledge you for that. It's inspiring, and people need you, and just thank you for being you and for bringing the light that you bring into the world. So,
Right. And I've met like all of you on social media.
yes, your tribe, your people.
Yeah. And so wow. So what's next for you? Did you ever get to state your social medias, by the way?
I will. Yep, and it's super easy. It's super easy. Just look me up. I'm on Instagram. It's at heather.urness, Urness, or you can add me as a friend on Facebook. Same name, nothing fancy. That's all it is. So yeah, link up with me there, and I would love to connect with you, beautiful people.
Same name. She said, link up with me. Aw. And once again, you have the Rapunzel hair, so. But mine is growing. But I used to have long hair like yours. But yeah, so yeah, so what's next for you? What is your, big goal like in your life? Like what is something you want to leave behind that's going to outlive you?
Hmm. Well, so I love to write, and I've actually been working on it's not totally taking shape just yet, but I'm working on a book. I want to leave a book, at least one, maybe a few more. We'll see what I've got in me.
Yeah.
That would be my dream, because that was my dream since I was a little girl. So I'm gonna make that a
Yes.
reality. And yeah, and I think one big vision that I'm kind of holding right now, and it's been coming to me in meditation, is to one day have like a healing retreat center. And I
Yes.
don't know how it's going to take shape. I feel like there's going to be collaborators, there's going to be people involved, it's going to be a
Yeah.
community effort. It's not just going to be me, but like I see that happening. I see that happening.
That's all you
And
need to do. You don't need to know
yeah,
how. And I would definitely be there. Yeah. That's
yes. So these are my visions.
yeah. There's gonna be so much more too, because like you can always do something else after that. But I really like that. That's great. Yeah, that's great. So yeah. So wow, this is amazing. Thank you once again for being on Chai Together.
Thank you for having me. Thank
Go
you.
clean
And
your
after this,
mug.
I was just gonna say, after this, I'm gonna like clean out my mug, and I'm gonna like take some pics of me with the mug,
Aw,
so that way
that's so cute. That's so cute. All right. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.